Former President Trump's New York criminal trial enters day 8. NTD's White House correspondent Iris Tao brings us the latest from the courthouse. With Trump in court, President Biden is on the campaign trail, and he says he would be happy to debate the GOP candidate for president. How does Trump respond? Secretary of State Antony Blinken wrapping up his visit to China after meeting with Chinese Communist leader Xi Jinping. Blinken raised concerns about China's support for Russia's military during 5.5-hour talks with his counterpart Wang. The U.S. will provide Ukraine additional Patriot missiles for its air defense systems as part of a massive $6 billion additional aid package, but the delivery of the weapons won't happen right away. Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Stephanie Cox. Breaking now, President Biden on the campaign trail today says he's happy to debate former President Trump. Biden made those comments during an interview on Howard Stern's satellite radio show. Stern asked the president if he would debate Trump. Biden says, "I am somewhere, I don't know when." The when and where has already been decided by the Commission on Presidential Debates. The 3 presidential debates are scheduled for September 16th in San Marcos, Texas, October 1st in Petersburg, Virginia, and October 9th in Salt Lake City, Utah. The only vice presidential debate is slated for September 25th in Easton, Pennsylvania. And former tabloid publisher David Pecker getting grilled by Trump's lawyers on day 8 of Trump's criminal trial in New York. That's as Trump responds to Biden's debate pledge. Joining us now live is NTD's White House correspondent Iris Tao, who's outside of the courthouse in New York. Good afternoon to you, Iris. What's the latest we're seeing today?
Good afternoon to you, Steph. So we've just got some breaking news. We now know who witness number 2 is. Before, the prosecutors wouldn't tell us or Trump's defense team who that would be, saying that Trump might try to attack them. But now it's been revealed that the second witness in this trial, her name is Rona Graff. She's a longtime Trump assistant working for him for decades. And now she's just now taken the witness stand. And now before we hear more about what she's trying to say at this trial, let's also do a recap of what a former publisher of the National Enquirer, David Pecker, said during the past few days and also this morning. So basically, he was questioned by both the prosecutors and also Trump's attorney during cross-examination, and during which Trump's attorney was trying to prove that actually Trump was not involved in an alleged scheme to buy and then bury negative stories to try to avoid harm to his 2016 campaign, which is actually the foundation of District Attorney Alvin Bragg's theory in trying to prosecute Trump. And Pecker testified that while he did pay $150,000 to former Playboy model McDougal to try to cover up a story she had alleging that she had an affair with Trump, but that deal was actually not done directly while he was in contact with Trump. He was only talking with Trump's fixture, Michael Cohen, and he also added that he's been informing Trump's team of negative stories about Trump for years, not just during the 2016 election. And just this morning, he also admitted that actually his own business, his own company also benefited from that deal. So as to Trump's team's defense that it was only a personal act by Pecker to benefit him financially, not a conspiracy for Trump to benefit himself in the 2016 election. And that's a big development for the past few days. And Trump, meanwhile, this morning, before going to the courtroom, also called the trial a rigged one. Let's take a look.
I'm in a courthouse for a rigged trial. It's a rigged trial. Terrible. But we're doing very well in this rigged trial. Everybody knows it. Yesterday was a big day. I think we have a judge that will never allow this case to be over in a positive way. He's highly conflicted.
And now with the second witness now at the stand, the question is how long this witness will take to finish her testimony and also who the next witness would be. There were some speculation about Karen McDougal herself taking the stand, but that remains to be seen. Back to you, Steph.
Absolutely. A lot to watch for there, Iris. And how's Trump reacting to Biden's new pledge for a debate?
Right, so during the lunch break, actually, during today's trial, Trump went on Truth Social to post about Biden's new pledge, saying, quote, that he didn't actually want to do it. And although, of course, everyone knows that that's Trump's message there. And Trump also challenged Biden to do it anywhere, anytime, at any place. And that's what Trump's been saying for the past few weeks at his rallies on Truth Social. And now today, Trump's actually challenging Biden to do it right here at this courthouse tonight, as Biden was also campaigning in New York City, actually at one point just 2 miles away from this Manhattan courthouse. Back to you, Steph.
All right, we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much, Iris Tao. Tensions remain high on college campuses across the nation as anti-Israel protests continue. At Columbia University, the 48-hour window for negotiations has passed. School leaders and the student protesters haven't reached an agreement, and the encampment continues. Administrators said last night, "We have our demands, they have theirs. A formal process is underway and continues." In its latest update, the university stated that it would not involve the NYPD in clearing protests on campus. Unlike Columbia University, some other schools have been quick to resort to law enforcement to disperse protests before they gain momentum. Police in other parts of the country arrested dozens of protesters yesterday, including at Indiana University in Bloomington, Ohio State University, and Emory University in Atlanta. The University of Southern California became the first university to cancel its graduation ceremony due to security concerns amid anti-Israel protests. And Columbia University administrators are locked in a stalemate with students over the removal of a tent encampment. This as protests have spread to other New York campuses, as you just heard. With the demonstrations have come unsettling reports of anti-Semitism and hate speech. And NYC Council member Robert F. Holden discusses the situation.
I never in a million years would dream that there'd be a movement in the United States to back terrorists. Hamas. I mean, that's what this appears to us in New York City, many of us. There's a fringe element. And again, they're radical anarchists. I don't know who they are. I don't know how many they have nationwide, but we've been infiltrated, apparently, by people that are unhinged.
Holden says he finds it distressing that American universities are churning out students who would support a group like Hamas. The New York City Council member feels the anti-Israel movement is a socialist movement at heart. According to Holden, the aim is to tear down everything that represents America, including capitalism. The council member says Columbia University and what he called far-left Democrats in his party need to do better and call out the hate being expressed. For more on Councilman Holden's interview, tune into NTD's Capitol Report today at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 Pacific. And next up, the Democratic governor of Maine, Janet Mills, signs into law a suite of gun control measures approved by lawmakers. The shooting that killed 18 people last October spurred on the laws. The new law expands background checks for private sales of weapons, bolstering the state's yellow flag law. It also criminalizes the transfer of guns to prohibited people and expands care for mental health crises. The bill drew opposition from Republicans who accused Democrats of using the tragedy to advance proposals that had been previously defeated. Both of Maine's legislative chambers are controlled by Democrats. And a Michigan man who tried to flee the country was formally charged today with involuntary manslaughter. Police say the owner of a Detroit area business that caught fire and exploded, killing a man, was arrested at a New York airport last week. Investigators say 31-year-old Nur Noel Ketsu was considered to be a suspect from the start.
He was a suspect from the beginning, being the owner of this business. Anyone that owns a business and something like this happens has to be considered a suspect.
Police arrested Ketsu at JFK Airport in New York last Saturday. He was trying to board a flight with a one-way ticket to Hong Kong. He was distributor for the vape industry. Investigators say more than 100,000 vape pens were stored on site when the building exploded. A 19-year-old died when he was struck with debris from almost a quarter-mile away from the blast. And the U.S. is providing Ukraine with additional Patriot missiles for its air defense systems as part of a massive $6 billion additional aid package Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin announced that today. However, the delivery of those missiles won't happen right away. The missiles will be used to replenish previously supplied Patriot air defense systems. The new aid package also includes more munitions for the National Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile Systems. It also adds gear to integrate Western air defense launchers, missiles and radar systems into Ukraine's existing weaponry, much of which still dates back to the Soviet era. U.S. leaders say the aid package will be funded through the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative, which pays for longer-term contracts with the defense industry. That means that it could take many months or years for the weapons to arrive. And U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Chinese Communist leader Xi Jinping as he wrapped up his visit in China today. Blinken is raising concerns about China's support for Russia's military.
I reiterated our serious concern about the PRC providing components that are powering Russia's brutal war of aggression against Ukraine. China is the top supplier of machine tools, microelectronics, nitrocellulose, which is critical to making munitions and rocket propellants, and other dual-use items that Moscow is using to ramp up its defense industrial base. A defense industrial base that is churning out rockets, drones, tanks, and other weapons that President Putin is using to invade a sovereign country, to demolish its power grid and other civilian infrastructure, to kill innocent children, women, and men.
Blinken raised the matter during 5.5 hours of talks with his counterpart, Wang. Seeking cooperation on fentanyl and other synthetic drugs is also on the agenda of Blinken's visit. He's urging China to prosecute those who are selling chemicals and equipment used to make fentanyl. Blinken's trip was met with little progress on a raft of contentious issues. In the coming weeks, the U.S. and China will hold talks about safety concerns around advanced AI and how to best manage them. 2 British suspects accused of spying for China are granted bail. They first appeared in a London court today. The 2 are charged with providing information to China between 2021 and 2023. One of them is Christopher Cash, a researcher at the UK Parliament. He's worked with renowned lawmakers, including Alicia Kearns, who now heads the powerful Foreign Affairs Committee. The other is Christopher Berry. Reports say he's an academic. They were charged Monday, the same day Germany arrested 3 people over spying for China. This comes right ahead of Chinese leader Xi Jinping's visit to Europe in May. The British suspects didn't enter pleas. For now, they're not allowed to travel outside the UK or contact each other. They're set to appear for a preliminary hearing early May. And divisions within the House Republican conference persist even abroad. NTD's Washington correspondent Luis Martinez spoke with U.S. members of Congress attending CPAC in Hungary.
While Congress is on recess, a threat hangs over Speaker Johnson's head. Over a month ago, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene filed a motion to vacate the speakership after Speaker Johnson relied on Democrats in order to legislate. Since then, Speaker Johnson has passed the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act and also foreign aid to Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine with the help of Democrats. According to Speaker Johnson, that's because he has a razor-thin majority of 1 congressman. I had the opportunity today to speak with Congressman Keith Self, the Republican from Texas, and he had a different view on the Speaker's strategy. Let's listen.
No, it's not an excuse at all. We need to continue to stand for conservative principles. We need to act on them. We need to get people on the record for voting for conservative principles or against conservative principles. And I'm talking about Republicans voting for or against Republican conservative principles.
To showcase the differences among House Republicans and even among conservatives, I had the opportunity to speak with Congressman Andy Harris, the Republican from Maryland, and he had a different view than Congressman Keith Self on the Speaker's strategy. Let's listen.
You know, we're getting into the middle of an election year, and to be honest, Congress usually doesn't do too much after the middle of an election year. So I don't think creating chaos at this point in time is a good idea. I think we can have this discussion after the elections if we want to.
I also had the opportunity to speak with former U.S. Senator Rick Santorum, and he had no appreciation for politicians in office who do not govern according to the policies that they campaigned on.
The people who go out there and say that are just doing it to promote themselves. They're not being helpful. They're not being truthful to conservatives. The idea that a one-seat majority in the House of Representatives against the president of the other party, against the Senate of the other party, and against a media that is fundamentally against you, that somehow or another you should control Washington is a fallacy.
Despite the clear differences among House Republicans, both congressmen I spoke with today do not expect to see any major legislation pass the House of Representatives until at least after the general elections in November. Reporting from Budapest, Hungary, Luis Eduardo Martinez, NTD News.
When we come back, based on crash data, federal transportation regulators have safety concerns about Tesla's fix for its autopilot feature after it was installed on millions of vehicles that the company recalled. The European Central Bank plans a rate cut in June to kickstart the bloc's economy. Some experts express concern as inflation risks linger and might even trigger a new episode of price rises in the future.
How'd it happen?
She showed up dead on arrival.
This never gets easier.
It does when you call CarShield before your car breaks down. Look at these prices. The camshaft, transmission, engine.
Don't people know? A plan through CarShield could protect up to 5,000 parts and systems.
You hate to see it.
An out-of-warranty car is gonna break down eventually.
Right, which is why they need a plan through CarShield. Those expensive repair bills get paid and at the mechanic of their choice. They're notifying the family.
Poor guy. He doesn't even know what's coming.
Another victim of senselessly expensive repair bills. Can't save them all.
But we can keep trying. Didn't have to end this way. If he'd have just called CarShield before his car broke down.
Exactly.
Protect yourself from the unprecedented rise in cost for parts and repairs. Call now to save money with your price lock guarantee. Call 800-429-5128.
Tangazo hili linahusu njaa. Tarajia kuona watoto wakiwa na njaa katika maeneo haya. Mambo yalikuwa bora kwa miaka mingi. Tuliweza kupigana na njaa na watoto wachache walikufa. Lakini sasa mambo yamebadilika na kwa mabaya zaidi. Hii ni kwa sababu wakati huu ukame umeangamiza zaidi.
Через війни та конфлікти ми мусимо залишати наші домівки і всі наші речі. Ми навіть не маємо їжі. Тому нам потрібна ваша допомога.
Millions of children are fighting to survive due to inequality, conflict, poverty, and the climate crisis. Save the Children is working alongside communities to provide a better life for children. And there's a way you can help. Please call or go online to give just $10 a month. Only 33 cents a day. We urgently need 1,000 new monthly donors in the next 30 days to help the children we support around the world. You can help provide food, medicine, care, and protection, plus so much more that a child needs, by calling right now and giving just $10 a month.
Ви можете допомогти голодуючим родинам вижити.
All we need are 1,000 monthly donors in the next 30 days. Please call or go online now with your monthly gift of just $10. Thanks to generous government grants, every dollar you give can have up to 10 times the impact. And when you call with your credit card, we will send you this Save the Children tote bag as a thank you for your support.
Toto kote duniani
потребують вашої допомоги.
Your small monthly donation of just $10 could be the reason a child in crisis survives. Please call or go online to hungerstopsnow.org to help save lives today.
Spotify CEO Daniel Ek sold $119 million in company stock. This is after overseeing layoffs of more than 1,000 workers. According to an SEC filing this week, Daniel Ek sold 400,000 share units in Spotify with a total market value of $118.8 million. This is the fourth time in the past 12 months that Ek has sold his Spotify stock, and the total of all four transactions amounts to approximately $340.5 million. The stock sale comes as several artists are accusing Spotify of hoarding money by being stingy with royalty payments. In December, Spotify cut 17% of its workforce in an effort to achieve profitability. Recently, Ek admitted that the labor reductions have created problems. Federal auto regulators want to know if the fix for Tesla's autopilot feature is good enough for the millions of recalled vehicles. And TikTok's owners have an answer for Washington lawmakers about the sale of the app. NTD's Don Ma has the latest in today's Business Brief.
All right, thank you, Steph. Today, U.S. auto safety regulators said they have opened an investigation into whether Tesla's recall of more than 2 million vehicles announced in December, this is to install new autopilot safeguards, whether this is adequate. So the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said it was investigating after the agency identified concerns due to crash events, and this is after vehicles had the recall software update installed. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration also today raised concerns about Tesla's autopilot name because they're saying it may lead drivers to believe that the automation has greater capabilities than it does and might potentially invite drivers to overly trust the automation. Tesla's autopilot here is intended to sort of enable cars to steer, accelerate, and brake automatically within their lane, while enhanced autopilot can assist in changing lanes on highways, but does not make vehicles autonomous. So one component of autopilot is auto steer, which maintains a set speed or following distance and works to keep a vehicle in its driving lane. But other than that, TikTok's Chinese parent company is saying that it's not going to sell the social media platform as a United States ban is looming here. So on Thursday, ByteDance denied plans to sell after reports surfaced it was exploring potentially the sale of TikTok's U.S. business. Without the algorithm that recommends videos to users. This is the first official response from the Beijing-based company on the issue since President Joe Biden signed a bill that could lead to a nationwide ban. So under the current U.S. law, TikTok is now forced to find a new owner within months or be banned from the United States entirely. And TikTok's CEO said the company would fight in the courts to stay online in the U.S. So far, a number of countries have already banned officials from downloading TikTok onto their phones, but the U.S. law is one of the most sweeping measures taken so far. India is a previous example, banning TikTok entirely in 2020. All right, Steph, that's all from me. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Don. Next up, the European Central Bank may cut interest rates in June to boost the bloc's economy. However, the risk of a new inflation episode looms over the continent amid slow economic growth. NTD's France correspondent David Pecker speaks to a publisher who says inflation is a long-term risk in the Eurozone and worsening inflation is possible.
While the U.S. Federal Reserve continues to grapple with stubbornly high inflation, Europe's policymakers are voicing growing confidence in taming price surges within the Eurozone. Last week, European Central Bank (ECB) representatives at the International Monetary Fund meetings in Washington stated that Europe's economic trajectory diverges from that of the United States. The ECB has reaffirmed plans to raise interest rates twice this summer, aiming to boost economic conditions within the Eurozone. While inflation has slowed to reach 2.6% in the Eurozone, some experts said the ECB walks on thin ice to contain it.
There's a real risk that we won't be able to juggle the need to contain inflation. It seems everything cracks and you've got a real problem here. Because if you lower rates while you've got inflation, you've got hyperinflation.
Publisher Guy de la Fortelle says today's economic situation in the Eurozone was predictable, i.e. a stabilization after a period of inflation and a rise in prices. However, he says the risk of hyperinflation might come if rates are cut while the economy stays in recession, which would lead to a significant rise in prices, with a significant impact on the cost of living for Europeans.
Basically, you're going to have an inflationary episode, and then you're going to have a pause, and then you're going to start up again.
The ECB says it will monitor wage increases, corporate margins, and rising productivity to determine when to cut the rates, not before June. David Pecker, NTD News, Paris.
And finally, in lighter news, Parisian chocolatiers unveiled today a delectable tribute to the upcoming Paris Olympics. Head chocolatier Nicolas Clouseau brings the games to life with close to 15,000 tablets featuring the Paris 2024 mascots. Crafted with layers of dark, white, and red chocolate, the collection offers bite-sized treats and elegantly packaged boxes, as you can see here, totaling a whopping 60,000 pieces for eager fans.
The idea was to recreate this mascot in a playful way with this chocolate bar, while also recreating the colors specific to this mascot with natural dyes, since we have a red obtained from beetroots and blue eyes made with an algae called spirulina.
We won't necessarily have the opportunity to attend it in the flesh. In a way, there is a small part of us that will be at the heart of this event.
That looks delicious. Thank you for watching NTD Newsroom. I'm Stephanie Cox. Have a nice weekend.